The controversial deportation of El Salvador of a Maryland man, the focal point of today's discussions in the Oval Office. El Salvador's president visiting President Trump, saying the man would be staying in a notorious El Salvador prison. National correspondent Matt Gelka reports from Washington.
El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele traveled to the White House, meeting with President Trump and touting the controversial partnership that has the Central American country using its prisons for immigrants deported from the United States.
We appreciate working with you because you want to stop crime, and so do we.
10 more deportees were sent to El Salvador over the weekend, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying all 10 were either part of the gang's MS-13 or Tren de Aragua.
To liberate 350 million people, you have to imprison some. You know, that's the way it works.
But Bukele's visit comes as Maryland resident Kilmar Abrego Garcia sits in one of El Salvador's notorious mega prisons. Abrego Garcia claimed asylum and had protective status from a 2019 immigration judge that prevented him from being deported to El Salvador. He had been living in Maryland with his wife and kids until he was detained and deported last month, with the Trump administration maintaining he is an MS-13 gang member, while his family says he is not.
I think if the government actually believed that this was some big-time gang leader, they would have made sure to file evidence of that into the case.
While the Department of Justice originally chalked up Abrego Garcia's removal to El Salvador as an administrative error, the Trump administration now says once MS-13 was designated a terrorist organization, Abrego Garcia's protective status went away. Despite a ruling by the Supreme Court saying they'd have to facilitate his return, the White House says they can't mandate El Salvador to do anything. And Bukele says he won't be releasing Abrego Garcia.
No court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
The question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
White House advisor Stephen Miller said there was no mistake in Abrego Garcia's deportation, and if he were returned to the U.S., he'd be deported to El Salvador again. The federal district court at the center of this case has another hearing scheduled for Tuesday, with the pushback from the White House likely raising the stakes for the hearing. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka.